What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at more of your March Madness hot takes. We're getting closer and closer to the tournament, and we got some good ones to discuss here today. Real quick, I just want to thank you guys for all the birthday wishes on this community post. If you want to give me a late birthday gift, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hit that sub button, completely free, helps me out a ton. I would much appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into these March Madness hot takes. Our first one going to be coming in here from Marcus Mariota, and this is one that I do really like a lot. And he says that Michigan will lose in the first round. This to me is going to be a W hot take. And if you guys don't know, I grade them W or L based on how much I like the hot take or just kind of how likely I think it is to happen. It kind of varies. It's not really a perfect system, but it works for now, and I do think this is a W take because Michigan is one of my favorite upset picks for this year's March Madness. I think given the right matchup versus a mid-major, whether it's a 5 versus 12 or a 4 versus 13, it should probably be a 5 versus 12, especially after they just lost again to Maryland, back-to-back losses at home to Illinois and Maryland. I think Michigan is one of the more likelier top 5 seeds to lose in the first round. Really like this hot take. Our next one's coming in here from Die Rich 5. He says Missouri loses in the first round. So similar to our first one, but this time Missouri. And this one I'm actually going to say is an L take. I don't think Missouri is a first round exit team. There could be some certain matchups that could give them trouble in the first round, but they have such a high powered offense. They're a really good shooting team. I just don't see them losing in the first round. I think they get to at least the second round, but lately I've been big on them getting to the second weekend, whether it's the Sweet 16 or even the Elite 8. Next up, we got one coming in here from B-Man, and he says Kansas wins the Big 12 tournament, then goes on in an Elite 8 run. Now, this is very interesting of a take because I don't really see many people hyping up Kansas right now. So I thought this was pretty unique. Wanted to discuss this one with you. Do you guys think they have any shot at winning the Big 12 championship in the Big 12 tournament? I think it's between Houston, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and then maybe even BYU. I don't really think Kansas has much of a shot in that. I am going to give this an L hot take just because I don't think it's likely to happen. And yeah, I don't see them making the Elite 8 either. It is possible. It is a unique hot take, so I like it, but it is going to be an L from me. Our next one's coming in from Giuseppe, and he says Georgia to the Elite 8. So interesting here. I don't really see many of these on the channel. Georgia making a deep run. So I'm going to give this a W hot take because I like it, but as far as likelihood for it to happen, I'm going to give it an L. So and I'm going to meet in the middle and rate this a mid-tier take. They have been playing a lot better lately. They got a big win over Florida, a couple of road wins against Texas and South Carolina, playing very well. Asa Newell is a very underappreciated center as a freshman as well, and their guards have been killing it as well lately. So I do think there is room for maybe a Cinderella team as a Georgia as either a 10 or an 11 seed to make a little bit of a run. If they can continue to be hot, because they are a hot team right now, they have to continue that into the SEC tournament. Get to like at least this, if they can make it to like the semifinals of the SEC tournament even, that would be very impressive of a run for them. But yeah, I'm going to rate it a mid because I like it, but I don't think it's very likely. Next one we got from a few different people, and something along the lines of UC San Diego makes a deep run into the tournament, whether it's to the second weekend, the Elite 8, or to the Final Four even. So I'm going to put these all together because UC San Diego is a very good mid-major that I feel like a lot of people are starting to catch on to. Them and UC Irvine are both really good out of the Big West Conference, and whoever comes out of that league, and if UC Irvine wins that league tournament, we could get a 2-bid Big West potentially. So that would be very cool to see. Both of those teams have potential to go far. I'm going to rate this a W hot take. I think given the right matchups, they could go on a deep run, and they might actually be a mid-major team that gets an 11 seed, which is a sweet spot for some Cinderellas. So I'm going to rate this a W hot take. This one's coming in here from Bridge, and he says Cincinnati makes an NC State type run in the NCAA tournament before losing in the Sweet 16. This is very interesting because they would almost have to have an NC State type of run because they're not currently projected into the field. They would almost have to either make it to the Big 12 championship game and just rack up all those quad 1 wins, or win it all, and of course get the auto bid from winning the Big 12 tournament. So they would have to go through a gauntlet, and I don't think that Cincinnati is capable of that. They have some really good players like a Jizzle James, who has really been popping off lately, and also a Day Thomas, and they have some other good guards as well, but they've been a very defensive team and a low scoring team that I just don't think is going to be capable of making a deep run like this, even if they do make it into the field of play. So I am going to rate this. I do like it. It is unique, so I'm going to rate it a mid-tier take. Next one's coming in here from Aiden, and it's kind of a similar one, but this one's with Villanova. Villanova and Cincinnati are kind of close to each other as far as bubble teams go. They would probably need a bid steal out of the Big East Conference in order to make it to the tournament, but he does say Villanova does their 1985 miracle and wins March Madness over someone big. So 1985 was the year that Villanova was, I believe, a 9 seed, won the national championship as the highest seed ever at the 9 seed. Can they do that again? I'm going to rate this a L take. I don't think that they can do it. I think that it is possible they can make the tournament, get a bid steal out of the Big East. They have shown that they can beat some of the better teams in that conference, so it is possible, and Eric Dixon is one of the best players in the country, so it is possible, but I don't think that they can win the championship. One's coming in here from Chubby Chubbs, and he says, high point to the Sweet 16. I love this hot take. W hot take from Chubby Chubbs. High Point is one of my favorite mid-majors to watch because they are so high-powered on offense. They can put up a lot of points, and they can compete with some of the really good high-powered offenses in the Power 5. So I do think, given the right matchups in the first weekend, High Point can make a little bit of a run this year in March Madness. They were running the Big South last year, lost in the semifinals, even though they were the top seed in their league. This year, they are the top seed in their league again. I expect them to get the bid this year, get their first ever bid to March Madness, and if they can get the right matchups, get to the second weekend of March Madness, or at least to the second round. W hot take. It's coming in here from Superman, and he says, my Terps go Final Four. I don't even think it's a hot take. So you don't even think it's a hot take. I think it's still pretty hot. They're going to be a 4 or a 5 seed. I think after that Michigan win, Maryland might get bumped up to a 4 after that heartbreaking loss at home to Michigan State, where they lost on a 3/4 of a court buzzer beater. They went back-to-back road wins at Penn State, at Michigan. Very impressive. I think Maryland probably deserves a 4 seed at this point, so I do think it is possible. They have a very good front court of Julian Reese and Derek Queen, playing really well right now, and their guards are playing great as well. Rodney Rice, I think, is the X factor. Him and Jacoby Gillespie are going to have to shoot the ball very well, and then they could, if they get the right path, make it to the Final Four. I'm going to give this a W hot take. I do think it is just hot enough, and it is possible with the way Maryland has been playing. Coming in here from James, and I think maybe one other person said this as well, but he says Clemson gets back to the Elite Eight like they did last year, and Duke does not. So Clemson and Duke both made the Elite Eight last season and lost a game before the Final Four. He's saying Clemson gets back there this year and Duke does not. Well, Clemson and Duke have both been playing very, very well lately. This is a pretty hot take. I do like it because I think it is possible Duke could get bounced out early, even though they're playing like a top 2 team in the country. Them and Auburn have been on another level, and I know Auburn just lost to Texas A&M, but them two are going to be very tough to beat in March Madness. I am going to give this a W hot take, but I don't think Duke loses before the Elite Eight. It is possible. But I could see Duke and Clemson both getting it. I could see Clemson losing earlier. But I am going to rate this a W. I do like this take. Got one coming in here from Aaron, and he says, Michigan State wins it all, then Tom Izzo most likely will retire. So, pretty cool hot take to think about. Michigan State, Tom Izzo has said time and time again, this is not one of the more talented teams he's had. In fact, this is one of the least talented teams that he's had since he's been coaching. But they find a way to win. They play great defense. Even on most games, they don't shoot the ball very well. They still find ways to win, and the team has very good cohesiveness as a team. They work well together. They have some depth. They do have athletes on this team as well, like Cohen Carr and Carson Cooper, who can catch a lot of lobs. And they have good guards, like honestly, all around between Frankie Fielder and Jaden Akins Jeremy Fears, and of course Jace Richardson and Trey Holloman, who have been killing it lately. So Michigan State has a huge squad. It would be really cool to see a team like that overcome a bunch of these other teams and win the championship this year. I'm going to rate it a W take just for Tom Izzo. Would like to see him win one more 25 years after winning his other national championship in the year 2000. A quarter of a century later, getting it and retiring. That would be pretty cool to see. Next one's coming in here from Bryce Legote, and he says, Dayton wins the A10 tournament and VCU gets an at-large bid. So I do think that there is a lot of opportunities for a bid steal in the A10 conference, and Dayton could be one of them. I think that VCU is going to get an at-large bid either way, especially if they can at least make it to the quarter or semifinals of the A10 tournament. And I love VCU to go on a deep run. You guys know this, but I do think between Dayton, St. Louis, Loyola Chicago, St. Joseph's, George Mason, there are a ton of really good teams in that conference that could possibly get a bid steal, and Dayton is probably more likely than any of them to do so. So that is very interesting of a take. I am going to rate it a W because I do love the A10 conference so much. Our next one's coming in here from Jazz Flund, and he says, West Virginia makes the Final Four. W hot take right off the rip. West Virginia, I would love to see it happen. I don't think it is possible. Me being a West Virginia fan, I have watched pretty much every single game they've played this year. They just don't have the offensive firepower without Tucker DeVries on the court to be able to get it done. I do think that Javon Small, in some situations, if he is not getting blitzed off the screens and double teamed, I do think that he can play hero ball towards the end of games. We can play our good defense. We have a top 15 defense, limit the opponent's possessions, get shots late into the shot clock. Javon Small plays hero ball. Could get us as far as the Sweet 16. I think that's I think that's our ceiling this year. So I don't think it's going to happen, but still a W hot take. One's coming in here from Hoop Center, and he says Colorado State gets a bid steal and makes a run to the Sweet 16. Good hot take. I like it. I'm going to rate it a W because Colorado State has been a very underrated team in the Mountain West. And really, Boise State has been too. They're kind of getting some respect now because they've been on a big win streak, knocking off two of the best teams in that conference in Utah State and New Mexico. So they're kind of getting some hype now. They are looking like closer and closer to being a lock in the NCAA tournament. But Colorado State is probably going to have to get a bid steal to get in. I do think it is possible. If any team gets a bid steal out of the Mountain West Conference, I do think it is going to be Colorado State. And if they do, maybe they can make it to the Sweet 16 given the right matchups. They're a solid team. The Mountain West can be scary, so look out for them. W hot take from Hoop Center. Next one's coming in here from a few different people, but they say BYU will make it to the Final Four. Now this has aged really well since I dropped this community post on Monday. BYU has since went on the road and beat Iowa State in Hilton Coliseum. They've been on a huge hot streak, one of the hottest teams in the entire country. And between Richie Sanders, Dallin Hall, Edgar Demon, Hastings, they have a squad, and their front court players have been playing outstanding. They got two really good bigs that can come in, rebound, play very hard. BYU's looking scary. They're a really good shooting team. One of those really hot offenses that can compete and score with just about anyone in the country. They're super fun to watch. I think it is possible. I think we see them in the second weekend of March, and at least I'm going to rate this a W. Next one's coming in here from Tyler, and he says, hot take is both Ole Miss and Mississippi State our first round exits. This is a pretty cool hot take because I do think it is possible that both those teams do lose in the first round. Out of a lot of the SEC teams that are going to make the tournament this year, which is going to be a lot, I think that Ole Miss and Mississippi State might be two of the more likelier teams to lose pretty early in the tournament. So I'm going to rate this a W hot take. Pretty unique. Both those teams in state could be out early, and they're both going to be around a 5 to 8 seed. So it would take some upsets, some minor upsets, but it would take some upsets. So that's a really good hot take. Definitely going to rate that a W. And our last one's coming in here from Scotty King, and he says Memphis to the Elite Eight. Shout out to all the March Madness babies. Shout out, Scotty. And yes, good hot take. Memphis played really good in the non-conference, and that's what you want to look for a lot of the time are who was playing good in the non-conference, because majority of your games are going to be, non-conference games, especially for a team like Memphis. And you want to look for teams that are getting hot at the right time, getting hot right before the tournament. Memphis definitely checks off on the non-con part, and they have some really good players that can take over in big games. If you look at the way that Tyrese Hunter was playing in the Maui Invitational Tournament, if he can take that to the NCAA tournament, I think that Memphis definitely could make it to the second weekend of March Madness. I don't know if they will, but I'm still going to rate this a W hot take. I do like this Memphis team a lot. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think about these hot takes. Which one was your favorite? Let me know down below in the comment section. And again, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. We're going to be posting a ton of college basketball March Madness content on the channel. You don't want to miss it. Trying to get to 10K subs. Help your boy out. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.